Good evening, everyone. Civilized Eyes Podcast is what you're watching. I'm your host, Darian Tucker.
And I'm Gabriel Bruce. How each and every one of y'all doing on this afternoon? How you doing, Darren? Everything going good?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Nice.
Wish one week, uh, 1 week off from the podcast, and we're back here now. Catching up. So how have your week been, Gabriel?
Everything been going good. Getting ready for the holiday season. I know a lot of people are out here Christmas shopping, and getting ready to bring in the new year and see what the new year 2022 has in store. So we're looking forward to 2022, and we're grateful for the good things that we had this year, the events that we had, the accomplishments that we have had with this podcast and with Civilized Eyes in general. And I'm excited, very excited, to see what the future has in store for Civilized Eyes and for the people in the community.
Yeah, me too as well. Definitely ready for the new year. And I'm definitely ready for this pandemic to stop, and definitely ready for variants to stop mutating. And
Yeah, because I can see now, it seems like every time we turn a corner with the pandemic and everything kind of go back to normal, it seems like we get a new mutation or new news of a mutation. It's kind of slow everything down. So I'm looking forward to things flattening out. We know
yeah,
we're getting a lot of vaccinations now, and that's a conversation within itself. Vaccinated versus non-vaccinated. I am vaccinated. I've been vaccinated for a long time, and I have my reasons for being vaccinated versus not, and I know a lot of people have theirs, and we respect everybody's opinion here at Civilized Eyes if you are or not. So, um,
yeah.
yeah, and
And so,
it,
and then so by this being a new variant, does it require a
booster.
vaccine?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. That I will have to do some research on myself and make sure that the current vaccination that I have is covered. And then one thing when I did get vaccinated the first time I didn't want to get into was every time we get a new variant that I had to get vaccinated. I didn't want to do that because I knew that it was a possibility that it was gonna mutate and it was gonna have more vaccinations, more variants of it, and I didn't want to be stuck every time we have a different variant every day.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy, and unpredictable. The things that's coming upon this world with these viruses.
So
Do you
how
know
has the? I'm
do you know
sorry.
what a virus is actually
Do
in its
I?
in its basic form?
Um, you have some research or information on it you can share with the people?
Yeah, I've tested some knowledge from reading a molecular biology book,
Okay.
and it said that a virus is basically a parasite, a dead organism
Mm-hmm.
cannot thrive on its own, but it has to attach unto another living organism, break through its protein layer,
Mm-hmm.
infiltrate its DNA, its nucleus, and through that repeated process, the virus is able to spread, continue to spread uh, and mutate.
And then that's what we're seeing. But
That's yeah,
and we
yeah,
also we knew that was happening, but I never seen a virus spread at this rate and to be this effective and to be that strong. In the 42 years that I have been living, and I have seen colds and flu. Every year you get a cold. You know, uh, and every year when my kids was in school, I would get the 24-hour virus. Everybody would get because they would bring it home. Then you'll get a note come home from the school that everybody in the classroom had the virus, and it'll jump from kid to kid to kid to kid because they were touching, and then once it hit every kid and the teacher, and then it'd be over. But I never seen nothing like this at a rate like this that has caused the path of destruction that it has destroyed. But not only have it taken the lives of people, but it has affected the everyday life cycle to the point where you can't hug or you can't shake hands, and normal things that we took for granted that we used to do as getting together for family dinners. Where it was time where if you went and seen grandmama and you had a virus, there's a possibility that grandma ended up in the hospital. So it's caused. And I remember when it first came out, it was very unknown, and I don't know um, what state you was in when you first heard about it, but I remember when it first, I remember the panic, you know, the panic it had, and
yeah. I was just listening to a comedy show
uh huh,
where a host of comedians were talking about the virus, and they was talking about how many like, funny things they heard
mhm,
in the midst of when the awareness of the virus was first, you know, realized.
okay,
Said the most funniest thing is the stories of people who thought they had almost had it, who thought they had it.
right,
They said that they heard some stories of some people saying that they was going to the bathroom a lot,
right,
drinking a lot of NyQuil, and still was awake. And they said that they had it then
mhm,
before the virus even came out. They remember that, and they like, man, I had it.
right,
And
and
I found this so funny because I had my own story where I thought I had it,
okay,
because I slept for a long amount of time,
mhm,
and then I also felt as if I couldn't breathe for like a small period of time, 5 seconds, 6 seconds,
mhm, mhm,
and automatically my mind said it's COVID. You got
mhm.
COVID. So I called my sister, and she comes to get me. She has a mask on and everything. I never seen her wear a mask around me,
Mhm.
with
Right.
family. But when she showed up, she was talking through a mask.
Mhm.
Like, oh, she got a mask on. And she took me to the hospital to get tested.
Mhm.
And my dad is like, oh, why, you don't been all around traveling.
Mhm.
You got to stop that in house. And then he said, call me back when you get the update.
Mhm.
So I told him that the doctor was going to let me know the results in about 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I left the hospital after being, uh, after being injected. Well, not injected. They put like this little tube up my nose
Right.
and things like that. And so,
Did you be tested?
like 1 day later, they gave me the results. My,
Okay.
but before that day, my dad called me, and no, I called him and told him I'm at the hospital, and he said, he said he feeling kind of sick.
Uh-uh.
and, so, and so that I started laughing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I didn't have COVID, man,
Right.
but the thought of thinking you have the COVID will
Right.
end up giving you the COVID symptoms.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. Because I never have had COVID. And I used to tell people all the time I'm the most hands-on person because we are hands-on, being blind, with sighted guide and a lot of touching of things. So, and I was in stores, and my life didn't stop. Um, my majority of my church got COVID, and I didn't get it. My wife got COVID, and my daughter Miracle tested positive, but my daughter Mackenzie and CJ, my son CJ, they didn't. But I remember when Miracle found out that she tested positive. Now she was fine. We was out dinner. She skipping around like a normal person. Then she found out she positive. She go to panicking. She thinking she can't breathe. She thinking she gonna die. She want to run out to the hospital. So I call out to at this time. This is early in the process. So I call out to the hospital. They're like, "Hey, don't bring her out here if she already got it. Unless it's severe." And after she came, calmed down, she was fine. And I have been tested a couple of times because I have been. I was in contact with a family member who tested positive, but I didn't test positive. And then when they tested positive, I didn't. But I remember, and what shocked me at the time, that the world, that my job, like, hey, we're not shutting down.
Yeah,
And people get COVID, and not my current job, but a previous employer. You didn't know. They wouldn't tell you. The only thing you knew is the person wasn't there for a couple of days, and you can assume. But I was like, that's what people think about you. They won't even have the courtesy to tell you that the person that worked beside you don't test positive for COVID, or during contact tracing, or they been exposed. And so it just let me knew that the world gonna turn regardless of whatever you may be going through. And when we have heard those horror stories of how people, you know, uh, only got to talk to their family members during FaceTime, and then it just was sad.
yeah, and I know somebody that's still uh, prevented from coming to America
Mm-hmm.
because of COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and that person is deemed to be getting married with someone in America, but that person isn't able to come to America just yet.
Mm.
I'm talking about when the COVID first came out.
Right, because we had
That
the
person
travel
still, that
restrictions.
person still been over there.
So, how have this a pandemic affected your life? Your everyday life? Being a person already with a visual impairment, and on top of that, and this pandemic, how did it affect you at the time?
Um, it really like it doesn't affect me no way. Like my
Mm-hmm.
thinking,
Mm-hmm.
uh, my soul,
Right.
and my health. It hasn't affected me,
Mm-hmm.
but it has affected the economy.
Right.
You know it. So in that way, me developing. How I want to develop. Maybe develop in like economically it has affected me.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like my mind, body, and soul, it hasn't. Um, because when there's things like this pandemic, uh, I'm talking about the pandemic. I
Right.
meant to say, uh, the government enforces their workers to act the same way.
Right.
And now I sometimes think that COVID is used as an excuse too in some cases.
Yeah, because we're seeing a lot of things that got mandated, and that I think a lot of policies and things that they wanted to be installed, or that now it can be implemented under the guidelines of COVID. For years they tried to get travel restrictions, and we knew with the current the previous administration, we knew how they felt about um, foreigners, or people traveling into the United States, and how they wanted some type of restriction, either a wall or something. And then when COVID hit, their way of mandating that was, hey, COVID, and then we'll put a restriction on it. And I think COVID allowed a lot of things to happen. A lot of places shut down, and you couldn't go to certain places, and you couldn't visit. You couldn't visit in hospitals. A lot of the offices was closed, and it gave them an excuse for bad service. It was time you couldn't reach the Social Security office or your Family and Children Services offices, and a lot of your help wasn't available, and they could hide. It's like COVID. Due to COVID restriction, your wait time where it used to be an hour, maybe 5 days. You see, and
Yeah,
so a lot of things implemented, and still to this day, and that went on both sides. And a lot of people use COVID for excuse to say, well, I'm not working due to COVID, and so I'm gonna stay at home and reap the benefits that the government has to offer, or I'm not gonna pay my bill, my rent. A lot of people didn't pay rent, and which forced a lot of landlords to have, because there was a rental restriction. You couldn't evict nobody for a certain amount of time, and so you had to look at it. I understand from the point of view that a lot of people wasn't working, but nobody looked. A lot of people didn't look at the fact of how it affected the business owners or the landlords, and a lot of people truly lost their jobs. A lot of people truly went out of business behind some of the restrictions that was put on through our government and our local government. And so the question would be, how do we get some form of normalcy back, or do we even get normalcy back now? Or what is normalcy?
but the
So
thing,
those would be the three questions that we had. Number one, what is normalcy? If it is some form of normalcy, and if it is, how do we get it back to the state that it was in, and do we even want it back at that state?
things are changing right now as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Inflation has surged tremendously. There
Yep.
was not such a great great percentage of inflation
Right.
that we have right now since 1978. I want to say.
Right.
Let me
We're at 6% now. The cost of
6.8%. Hello.
with the cola. With
Yeah,
the cola.
with the inflation.
Yeah, with the cola, we was at 6+%. So um, and I never seen that before. I'm always used to when I was on Social
Hey,
Security.
Cable.
Yes.
Yeah, could you hold down the podcast
Yeah. Okay.
with the topic and
Right.
everything?
Right. I was at a 1.3% in all our in the future in the past, and now we're at a over 6%
Hey, Cable,
inflation rate. Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, and I'm gonna go ahead and keep talking until you can get back to
Okay.
yourself. And so, knowing that this pandemic has came, and seeing that now, I remember how things used to be, and some of the normalcy things that I hope that we get back to is to where we could be able to um, go back to having dinners and family outings and group outings because the ball games and all that they're still packing 100,000 people in stadiums. So we're gonna get back to the point where we can go back to grandma's house and eat milk and drink milk and eat cookies for the holidays and travel. We'll go get back to some form to the point where tourism will rise. And we know LaGrange, this area that we're in, has a great tourist rate because we have some attractions. West Point Lake is an attraction. We have had some boat races, and we also have people have been doing some fishing tournaments and things. And we also have Great Wolf, one of the biggest attractions, which is a indoor water park that's here in our city. And we know we are big on manufacturing, and so we're seeing that it's a lot of job openings that are out there now. And we hope that we can. We're seeing one of the good things is the pay, our pay increase has been implemented. That a lot of people are willing to up their wages to get qualified, to get workers to come in and work and provide services. And I tell everybody, if you out and you get somebody who work like your waitresses, please tip. Be a tip because those people are risking to provide a service for you, as well as frontline workers, um, first responders, people who are every day dealing with this pandemic in some form or another. And let's remember those people. And for those, we can also have a moment of silence for those who have lost loved ones during this pandemic. And
Okay.
so,
Yeah. So I'm back.
okay,
So let's get into some jokes. I got this joke right
okay,
that I heard from somewhere. That was it was three type of guy, three guys
okay,
had disabilities.
okay,
One was blind. The other one had no arms, and the other one didn't have any legs.
okay,
So they was all friends, and they was gathered up in a room, and the guy with no arms told the guy with no legs, "I slap the crap out of you." The guy with no legs said, "Yeah, and I kick your butt too."
mm-hmm.
And the guy with no eyes said, "I like to see that beep." So
Oh,
now
that's
neither one of them could do any of the things that they claim
right.
to do to the other, being that they had disabilities in those areas.
Hmm.
I thought that was hilarious when it was told to me.
Right. And I find myself, and I know a lot of us do, we find ourselves, and I be like, I saw that, I watched that. They be like, "What you do?" Oh, I watched Netflix last night, and I'm learning now to be more. It's just natural progression because I am watching Netflix just like you. One thing I'm listening to it versus you saying it. That's the terminology of it. But a lot of times, it opens the door for just unnecessary questioning. So sometimes I be like, I watch and then the question be, how you watch Netflix? And I be like, oh, here we go. You know what I mean? So that's I thinking about that. That makes me think about people you know and how you know even a man with no arms would even that's because that's his mind train of thought that yeah I might slap you, you know not knowing that
He
he
has
can't
no,
slap him,
he has
but
no arm.
he's yeah, but he still got the aggression to say I slap. He like, no, I'm gonna kick you now. You slap me, I'm gonna kick you. Even though you can't slap me, but I'm still gonna kick you. It's in there, deep down inside, it's in there. And then he just terminology wise said, I like to see that happen. You know.
Yeah. I find that laughter, all of these are seasons, man. The
Mm-hmm.
emotions.
Right.
Now, I kind of use them to my advantage
Mm-hmm.
to stay in sanity. Not
Right.
in pain, but had to maintain sanity. Uh, just throwing this out there, you know, I use laughter, to bring joy to myself and others in times where it might be some type of distress or frustration or something like that. And I use sadness, sorrow to bring like myself to a humble
Mm-hmm.
level when I find myself being like too, impatient or prideful, things like that. Just out of knowing that those things does something to your perspective, your heart.
Yeah.
A
I,
lot of
I
a lot of people would run away from sorrow,
right.
but if they knew the depths and the power that sorrow has upon their heart for the good, they might kind of accept sorrow for a season.
Yeah, and I look at pain, and I have had recent pain, and it hurts. Pain hurts. It's hurt to go through things in life, no matter what. But I think a lot of times I think about some of my losses in life, from either a family member or my eyesight. And people like, why? How do you have a positive attitude about it? Because number one, I know now, and it's nothing that I can do to change the results of what has happened in the past. It's nothing I can do that. I can learn from it through education, if it's some formal educational outlook of it. And I can learn from if it was any mistakes made, learn from those mistakes and go on and be a better person. And that's why when somebody say something about me being blind or anything that don't bother me, and I always say, "You right, I am blind." you know, well, it will hurt other people's feelings if they get spoken, said something about them. It don't hurt my feelings. I'm able to laugh about the things of life and being blind and not seeing or tripping or thing like that, or your blind jokes, or so I can find humor in those things and not just because it's easy for us to just sit in the corner and be down on ourselves. It's easy to just get down. If we ever wanted an excuse to get down, we can wake up and just say, "Oh, I can't see," and that could turn into a tailspin of just downward negative energy, and that's easy to get down. But I don't look at my life in that way because I don't want to be down for that way. I want to be positive and look towards the great things that I can accomplish in life and the greatness that's in store for me, and how can I be a help to somebody on today. So those are things I wake up thinking about more than thinking about something that happened to me 30 years ago that I can't control. So I focus on how can I be a blessing to somebody today? How can I be a help? What can I do to help build my community and make it better? What can I do to be a better person, a better co-worker, a better worker, a better father, a better husband? Those things I look forward to. Then the saying, and that's why going into this next 2022, I look forward to seeing what the civilized eyes have to offer the community and the things that we're going to do in the community, and we're going to be able to look back and see how a group of people came together despite their own challenges to tackle life issues in a civilized manner.
Yeah, and hearing that, you just brought some ideas to me
Hmm.
when you said civilized eyes. Um, Now I'm looking at it from a now uh, internal point of view.
Okay.
Civilized eyes can also be interpreted to me, and now I'm saying it like a kind of like a new interpretation to civilize the perspective
Right.
in a new way, to develop our perspective in a new way. Talking about, I guess, things that people wouldn't usually talk about. I guess,
Right.
but I know that nothing under the sun is new. These things have already been talked about,
Right.
but they don't. That doesn't mean that everyone is aware of them. Though. Now, what I was going to say something. Yes, in venturing to build security, shelter,
Hmm.
family, home, with good intentions, to be happy and to give happiness unto those that we are in relationship with, and not only those, but those that come by, our neighbor. And the tragic event happens where that which we built was destroyed uh, for an unclear reason, an odd, for whatever reason, it was destroyed.
Hmm.
And everything that we look upon and view, all events that we view, it affects our perspective,
Right.
shifts our perspective, molds our perspective. Now, what help? What is that? What is healthy for the perspective in the midst of an event like that? That person knows that they built those things for a great cause, and something like a tragic storm comes by. You can't blame it on the humans, but a storm came by and
Mm-hmm.
out, wiped it out clean.
Right.
Will that person, be blame himself, blame God? Why did this event happen anyway in the first place to a good person like that
Mm-hmm.
who built foundations, well settled securities for their family? I think it should be seen as like this: a test for that person.
Okay.
It might have hurt the family. It might have hurt all that. Even that person. I think it's a, I truly believe that things like that happen for a reason to test that person's strength, or to give them more strength. To test their honor to what they know to be true, and that is nothing lasts forever. And to accept that fact, and to spread that wisdom to tell everyone else that nothing lasts forever on this side. So don't never put your whole entire energy into building things like that and expecting that nothing is not going to happen to it. You can have $1 billion, $1 trillion, but anything is liable to happen in this world.
And
But
that's what I'm
people just
learning.
lost their businesses
Mm-hmm.
to COVID.
Right.
Never thought it would happen. They had good credit scores and all that. I'm telling you, we should prepare ourselves for stuff like that because this is nothing new, and it's just a test upon us. It's just a test.
Well, I think one thing this have taught should have taught all of us to be more prepared. To have a contingency plan now. To We should understand things more better, like you said, that a lot of this stuff is we can't control. Some things we can't control. Other people and other people actions. We can't control other people actions. We have to keep ourselves as people and learn to, just because someone does something that, if we go, we can't turn you say rail for rail or evil for evil. That doesn't helps the situation. This, even through this pandemic, some of the trials of my life has taught me to pray more, to seek my spiritual guidance more, because at the end of the day, I have to find comfort in something, and I have learned that sometimes, and people ain't the right um, necessary thing, because a lot of times people are going through some things also. And even with the pandemic, we always going through the same thing. So looking for a higher power for explanation. And I have seen storms destroy churches, and I have asked the question, why did the tornado skip those $1 million houses, but destroyed that one church who was barely making it? And I asked those questions and why these things happen, but I'm learning that I can't let those things change me and make me a bitter person or a hateful person. And I had to learn from those things and find out a way that I could be more helpful than harmful.
Yeah, and I, you know, um, I think the purpose we was we was placed in this earth for is to not to build buildings and the greatest economic machine. But I think we was put here to build ourselves, build ourselves. Everything is I think everything is kind of what we do to these buildings and what we do to these organizations. I think that it should be transformed as some type of catalyst or an example. Um, the person building their mind, their, their soul, and all of that. Because once all that stuff fall away and deteriorate, that's all you got is your mind,
Right.
your habits,
Right.
your skills and all that to sustain you. And that building is not going to sustain you.
Right.
Uh, I think that's one of the things that we've gotten away from. Um, the kids are taught skills to build physical, you know, physical buildings and things like that. But when the going gets tough, suicide happens
Hmm.
because the building of the youth's mind, the adult's mind, the senior's mind, those skills wasn't given.
Right.
People don't know how to deal with it. The COVID, so many levels of stress arose from the COVID. Because no one know how to control and put their perspective, direct their perspective to see the things where they should to build themselves.
Right.
And that might just be, I'm not gonna say that. It's not an opinion.
Mm.
It's really a real set of principles.
Yeah. And maybe on our next um podcast we can dig deep into that.
Yeah,
How do we set ourselves up to thrive despite
yeah,
despite what going on around us? How do we even, let's say, if we lose our job, what do we turn to? Do we, what are the resources and things we need to do, or lose our home? Things of those nature, because a lot of time people are just caught out with no plan, and it's caused a lot of stress. And so, how do we build a plan? What's our safety plan? What's our contingency? What do we do if this happens? I remember a lot of time when we was in school, we was always taught in case of a fire, stop, drop, and roll. That was emphasized that to always go home and have a plan that if a fire break out and everybody have to go in different direction, have a meeting place. So we're gonna meet cross the street in the neighbor yard. And in the time of man, if ain't nobody there, then we know that they were there because it's a plan. But if it's no plan to meet anywhere, then we have no guidance. Then we don't know what to do, and it may cause some error and some mistakes. It may cause us to run back into a burning building to save someone who ain't there, who may be three houses down. But it was no plan. They didn't know to go two houses down or one house down.
right. Yeah, yeah. Entonces, ah, those are those are those are great views. Those are great views. Great views. So we're gonna roll it out here. I want to say thank you to all those that support us and have been supporting us. Civilized Eyes Podcast. Uh, be engaged. Comment below our videos. Tell us what you think. The ordinary. Like and subscribe. I think the settings you can turn on the bell notification to receive the updates consistently, back to back, when we upload our shows onto this YouTube platform here. We want to thank YouTube for allowing people like us to have a free platform uh, to get out our ideas and ideas that may be interesting to others, and give them ideas and where they can do uh, what they have been aspiring to do. Feel free to email us uh, at Civilized Eyes Podcast at gmail.com. Uh, we ask that if you have any unused technology that you would think about Civilized Eyes, worthy cause of repairing those technology if needed, to give it back to the community that needs them. We will have a process on how they will be, you know, re- repaired, and um, who the technology will go to. Also, we will update you on um, the journey of your technology that you donated whenever it is given to someone. Also, what else is there? We The technology can be easily any it can be any of these devices: mobile phone, smartphone, uh, assistant technology, speakers such as Google and Alexa, old phones, flip phones, any type of phone. You know what I'm saying? Computer,
Right.
laptops, things like that. We'll take it all, no matter what's wrong with it. We'll take it. Um, and that's all that I have, Gabriel. And do you have anything?
I just thank everyone for subscribing and just letting everybody know if you have any downtime during the holidays, go back and listen at some of our older catalog and get yourself caught up on Civilized Eyes, and comment below. Shoot us an email. Um, don't forget that Cash App, $ Civilized Eyes Podcast. That's Civilized Eyes Podcast with the C being capitalized and civilized. So God bless you, and have a great week. Until we see y'all again.
And before everyone goes, like Gabriel said, we really do need for you all to share the video on your social media platforms so other people can watch our videos and subscribe as well and get this content. Uh, so yeah, please do that, and then we also would do the same as well. Uh, so yeah. All right, Cable. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I'll be seeing you.
Proceed and route enter. Not yet.